sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Listen, if you're like me, you hate doing admin crap. Number one, because you're not good at it. And number two, because you know it's taking you away from the stuff that actually makes you money. So why are you doing it? Do what I did. Go to worksby.com right now and let them pair you with a real executive assistant. Once I started working with Cheryl at Worksby, my income went up 40% in 1 month, and my working hours went from 70 down to 40. It's a game changer. Go to worksby.com right now, book a call, and tell them Walker sent you. If you do, you'll get 2 extra hours of service for free as a bonus. So if you're ready to finally stop doing the stuff you hate and focus on the stuff that makes you money, go to worksby.com right now. That's WORXBEE.com. Tell them Walker sent you, and you'll get those 2 free hours. Welcome to the No BS Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. Happy New Year. It's my first podcast of 2020. It's the 51st episode that I've recorded. I've finished my first year. I did miss 1 week, the week of July the 4th, but other than that, we've hit every single week. And I thank you, audience, so much for listening. No BS Sales Team, you guys are great. The reason I want you to listen to the podcast today is I'm going to talk to you about relationships, personal as well as business relationships, because a lot of those things cross over. There's a poem that I found a number of years ago that has been tremendously influential to me and has helped me make a bunch of decisions about my life. That's been super helpful, and I wanted to share it with you. It's written by one of my favorite authors, anonymous. And the name of the poem is Life is a Theater. And I found about 100 different versions of this. And this is one I like, as I do many, but I'm just going to read it to you, which is probably against the rules in a podcast. I'm just going to read you the poem. It begins this, called Life is a Theater by Anonymous. Life is a theater. Invite your audience carefully. Not everyone is healthy enough to have a front row seat in our lives. There's some people in your life that need to be loved from a distance. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you let go of, or at least minimize, your time with draining, negative, incompatible, not going anywhere relationships and friendships. Observe the relationships around you. Pay attention. Which ones lift and which ones lean? Which ones encourage and which ones discourage? Which ones are on a path of growth uphill and which ones are going downhill? When you leave certain people, do you feel better or feel worse? Which ones always have drama or don't really understand, know, or appreciate you? The more you seek quality, respect, growth, peace of mind, love, and truth around you, the easier it will become for you to decide who gets to sit in the front row and who should be moved to the balcony of your life. If you can't change the people around you, change the people you're around. You're on the stage right now. Same place you've been since you were born. Ignore your critics and go for it. It's the performance of your life. There is no practice. Go for it. If you want a copy of this, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just send me an email, walker@walkermckay.com, and I'll send you either a link to it or a copy of it yourself. When I read this several years ago, it blew my mind because immediately I thought of some old friendships that I'd been hanging on to because they were old friendships and they weren't helpful to me. And one of them was an old friend I'd known since I was very, very young. I guess that's the definition of an old friend. And I love him. He's a great guy, but his life was headed a different direction than mine. He's in a different place than me. He was divorced and not caring about a family and wasn't caring too much about growing a business or working hard. And I realized that a lot of the advice he was giving me was coming from somebody who was divorced and didn't care about a family and wasn't really cared about his career. And what I know is the people that we're around do influence us. It's how we consciously or unconsciously measure ourselves. How are we doing versus the people around? I heard a statistic one time, I don't know if it's true or not, but that if you look at your 5 closest friends and you average their income, yours is probably right in the middle of that. So I hope I don't have to get my kids in my top 5, but because that would severely impact. But if you think about that, who do you compare yourself to? Who are the people that are around you that you think this is normal? Because we all believe that what we do is normal, right? We believe those people are normal. And if you have people in your life, in work or in business, that are causing you drama, that are making you feel worse about yourself, that are telling you things that are holding you back, giving you bullshit head trash about what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. Move them, as the poem says, to the balcony of your life. Doesn't mean you have to tell them to go to hell. Doesn't mean you have to quit your job. Doesn't mean any of that stuff. But what it means is push those people back. So my friend that I discussed, he is somebody I still stay in touch with, but I don't seek company with him anymore. I'll talk to him once or twice a year, but I don't put him on my inner circle. He's not somebody I talk with about business with. He's not somebody that I do that. And quite frankly, what I've noticed when I call him now, and I'm not talking about business, guess what he talks about all the time? Himself. He didn't give a shit about me. He's completely self-focused, and it's something that I guess I didn't really notice before. But my guess is you may have somebody in your life who is negative, draining, pulling you down, not helping you. And all you have to do is just stop reaching out. Or make it a little more difficult, right, to be in touch. And this can be anybody. It can be somebody like your family, right? It can be somebody in your family. It can be a close friend. It can be somebody you've known forever. Maybe it's a new person. But maybe you realize this is not helping me grow. You've heard a million times, and I believe this, that you're either growing or you're dying. And I've really focused this past 12 months on what are the things I need to do to challenge myself to grow. And I keep wondering, I used to have this thought, when am I going to be there? When will I have grown? When will I have reached the finish line? And the reality is, as I've learned, it's never there. Always have to reach farther. At least that's the way I'm wired. I have to reach farther and do more. I hired a coach last year in New York, our whole company in New York, to help me grow. We built a course, and they've trained me different ways to use social media and how to build a presence out there. And so now I'm still working with that group in New York. I'm also hired a guy who's helped me with marketing, to help me understand, how do you do digital marketing? How does that make sense? And how can I create, part of my business so that I can have some inbound leads? That would be a nice thing. So what I'm trying to do, and what I would encourage you to do, is find those people in your life who are going forward, who are growing, who are not afraid to try things, who are not afraid to fail, who will actually encourage you, who will lift you up. Surround yourself with people that take responsibility for their own actions. Surround yourself with people that are willing to take risks. Surround yourself with people that you want to be like, right? That you want to grow into. People I'm always drawn to people that read a lot. They're the most interesting, smart people I know, people that read a ton. I encourage my children now, and I beg them, and just like me, they don't listen. The smartest people I know, the most successful people I know, consume tons of books about all kinds of things. Think about that. Who around you reads a ton? What do they suggest you read? Go out into the world and seek better people to surround yourself with. They can be mentors, they can be friends, it can also come from podcasts, it can come from wherever. But go find people who are doing great things, who are attempting great things, right? Go find people who are attempting great things, who dare to think big, and surround yourself with those folks. And by doing that, it can change your life for the better. Relationships aren't static. They don't have to be static. Go find those people that you want to be like and spend time with them, whether they be, close friends of yours, which is super helpful, or people that you can find in the media that you can either watch their videos, or you can read their books, or you can listen to their talks, their podcasts. It's funny, at the same time, I've listened to a couple of podcasts. There's Tim Ferriss podcast that I used to love. And he's somebody who has been very, very successful. Obviously, he wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which has turned into some billionaire thing for him. But I had to stop listening to his podcast because he'd interview all these 22-year-olds and 26-year-olds who had these great ideas, who had become super freaking wealthy at 26. And now they were sharing their life lessons. And I realized at 54 that a damn 26-year-old still doesn't know shit. And maybe they've been successful in their business, and maybe they gotten lucky, or maybe they were brilliant and all those kind of things. But what I want to hang around are people that are trying things and getting their ass kicked. And they can admit they're getting their ass kicked, and they can share lessons that they've learned, and they can look at you in the eyes and say, man, I see you're having a hard time. How can I help? And they understand. One of the things I tell my children, which is, again, valuable about having people around you, is that life is hard for everybody, and that we all go through shit, and we all go through crappy times, and everybody is just a matter of degrees, right? Last year, 2019, has been one of the greatest years I've ever had. It's also been one of the hardest. I mean, it's kicked my ass in 35,000 different ways. I've failed a ton. I've made some bad choices. I've been subjected to some bad shit. But I've also had some of those glorious experiences I've ever had. And I would say at age 54 in the year 2019 was probably one of the best years I've ever spent, even though it was also one of the most devastating and hard. And I think that's just life. And it matters a lot who you surround yourself with. And what I loved in reading this poem, and I loved from experiencing what I experienced last year, was, what do the people around me do when I'm going through tough times? And what do they do when I'm going through good times? Are they people that support me no matter what? Or are they people that say, you've gotten lucky, it's not going to be that way anymore, this probably ain't going to happen again? I don't want to be around those people. I want people who are in the ring, right? I want people that are in there getting their nose bloody and they're fighting to be better. And they're going to do whatever the hell it takes. I want to be around those people because I want that to be the normal for me. No BS sales team, I'm making this a short one. I appreciate you very, very much. I love you guys. I've got this newsletter that I send out every week that's got a copy of the podcast, got a link to the podcast. It's got a link to some videos that I've done. It's got some books I'm reading, articles I'm reading, things I think about it. May be valuable to you to find out more about that. If you want to get on the newsletter list, text the letters NOBS, no BS, to the number 66866. Text NOBS to the number 66866. That'll put you on the newsletter list. If you've learned something today on this podcast, email me, walker@walkermckay.com. Again, if you email me and you want a copy of this, of Life is a Theater, I'll be happy to send it to you or send you the link. Let me know what's going on in your life. Let me know how I can help you. Reach out. Happy New Year, guys. Hope 2020 is glorious for you, because it's going to be hard as hell. Find the victories. Do the good stuff. See you soon.